that. So
Well, like you say, it's something you can prove, you know.
hmm
It's the depth they're working for, Brussels. That's where the orders come from now, Brussels.
yeah.
Okay, tape 7, day 2, take 1.
Well, I just said, I mean, I just said we can come back.
Oh, come back.
Well, I mean, it's not really anything I have pressing right now.
Well, the lad needs time to think about anything
Okay,
that we might have missed.
Right.
Oh, stopping people as well. And they would take pot shots at the Americans. They were the, well, freedom fighters, but the other side would be terrorists.
Tape 7, take 2. It's just the climate behind what the whole situation is, so it sets the background as to why he went in there, and why were the Russians there, and there was something declared that the Russians did find around about
The Americans were there to prevent the Russians from getting there. That's what the Americans were there.
What's your take on the
Well, the Russians did declare that they did discover something in Egypt around about 62, 61. So maybe whatever they publicly disclosed in 61 or 2, maybe what the 16 was actually involved with in 59. But that's a public record thing.
I do. They had scientists and they had historians out there, and they were digging around the pyramids. You know, I was aware of that then because they were talking about it. But like I said, when we went in that office, they just told me to get all the documents and take photographs. I remember one document I got. It had they had pictures of stars and planets on them. You know, a couple of bits of paper I picked up had pictures of them, like photographs of stars, and I just took photographs of them.
Mm.
And there was other documents that had description. They had drawings of machines on them, which I didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I didn't want to go into that because it could have been anything. It could have been, you know, a coffee machine or something. I just took a photograph of everything that was there. So
Yeah.
I got all the papers and I clicked, and I just keep on throwing the paper away and clicking. You know, that's all I did.
Yeah.
And then when they were finished, I put them back in the desk. So, you know, and then we locked the place up and got. It only took a couple of minutes to do all that. And when I got back, I developed it myself.
What was the technique that you used to remember those tests, the ninja training when you're staying in the circle and they're trying to see if you can get an egg off of the log over there?
That's not ninja training. It had nothing to do. Ninjas couldn't do it. It was just an initiative test. It was the first start of working out what I could work. It was just testing me, you know, how I react to things and how I work things out. What it was, they were done by the officers, where this office was, which was all broken down, by the way, and the windows were broken. They were sitting in the corner eating and having their meals. They had a yarn of tea there, and one of them came out with a piece of wood about that size, about an inch wide, with a bit of a groove on the top, and he stuck an egg on it, and he placed it on the stone, and he says, right, come up here, and we went, I don't know, about what, 30 yards, something like that, right? And he says, I could just make out the egg sitting on this piece of wood, and he gives us some string. He says, whatever you want, you can go and get now. He says, the object of the exercise, I want you to get that egg off that piece of wood, back up here to where you are now, and I'm going to draw a mark. He drew the mark. It was concrete plus dust, and he marked it right out. He says, I don't want you to walk outside that circle.
Right. You're
Says,
30,
this
30
is
yards.
what you've got.
30 yards away.
30 yards away. And I'm looking around, and something like that distance. Anything you want, you can get. But once you've got it and you step in that circle, you're not allowed to walk out that circle again. And you stand here, and this is what you got. And they give us a dog clip and some string. That's all they give us. And they said, whatever you want. There was bins of some rubbish in, cardboard boxes and things like that, you know, little cardboard boxes inside this bin. So I'm not going to tell you how it's done at this moment in time, but I will show you. I picked some things out of that rubbish bin. I went back to the circle, and they said, you won't get any lunch if you don't pick that object.
You're not going to tell me how you did it?
I will tell you how I did it, right? Later on, when, I'll explain to you. So I had to get the egg from the bottom up to where I was. So all I had was string. The place was tin like this. There was steel bars running across that held the place together. Okay, so the object was to pick the egg up, get it back to me without breaking it. Right? But rather than tell you, I'm going to have to show you. I'll let you show you how it's done. Now I had a SAS officer came up, and I didn't put the egg there. All I said, I want you to get this bit string, this carabiner, this dog clip. In my club, I've got girders there. I want you to get this carabiner through the girders, down to the bottom, so that the string went through the girders, right, to the bottom girder, past the bottom girder, hanging down. I want you to get the carabiner back to yourself. He spent 2 hours, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it at all. He couldn't. It took nearly an hour just to get the carabiner through the first girder by throwing it. But he couldn't get it to go any further. It was going up and down, he was pulling it, and he couldn't make it do anything. You asked Peter, Peter's seen it done, haven't you? In the club now, I put them through an initiative course where I place, the weights that you use on dumbbells. I put one of them at the bottom of my hall, lying on the ground. It's hard to pick up with your fingers, okay, and they have to stay at this end of the hall. So down there is the weight lying on the floor. From here, they've got to get that weight off the ground. It hasn't got to touch the ground. It's got to come up to them, and they have to grab the weight then, but it hasn't got to touch the ground. These were all parts, these were all initiative courses to enable me to look at something and work something out, like locking the doors, for instance. It's all part and parcel of that, to get the brain to think in a certain way. Mm-hmm. So I just tried to get this SCS officer just to get the string back, and he couldn't. He tried everything. He was really frustrated. He was giving, "Are you going to show us?" I said, "No, I'm not going to show you. I'll do it," but I didn't show how I pick things up. Why should I? He's not doing anything for me. I just showed him that, I got the thing through the girders, I got it through the next girder, I made it go around in circles, do you understand? I made it go sideways, and then I made it come back and fly into my hand, which you've seen. Mm-hmm. You see? He said, by the way, he says, that, where you locked that guy in the room. She said, you really don't expect me to believe that? I says, really, I don't expect you to believe anything. He wasn't quite sure how to take that. In other words, I thought he was a bit dumb, so that's what I didn't expect him to believe it. I said, I'll tell you what, come in. I took him in my office. I said, now this lock, it would be really difficult for me to do it with this lock. I can barely get the key in and out of the hole. Do you understand? It's tiny. The key's only about that size, It's very, very awkward. I've got 2 keys on it. I said, I'll tell you what, you're going to watch this, but you're not going to be able to do it. I put him in my chair, my office chair, sitting. I said, sit there, and I want you to hold your hand like that and don't move it. I said, I want to put a hole in your pocket. So he sat with his hand like that. I went to the lock, I put the key in it, I rigged it up, I put the string through his hand, around underneath the table, and he sat there. I went outside in the passage, closed the door, locked the door. The keys did come out after a while. I had a bit of struggle with it. They come out, the keys come along, and I said, tell us when you're in your hand. He says, in my hand now. And I said, okay, and then I retrieved it, and he left with the keys in his hand. And he stood it. He said, I never thought that could possibly be done. He said, I still think it's impossible before I've seen it.
So you're going to show me now?
I'll show you these things here. I can't show you them now you're here, but I'm going to have to show you at some point. But if you want to see them in a film, I'll teach you how to do them.
Okay.
Okay, so in a film, I'll teach you. I'll show you how it's done. Well, you're going to have to if you're going to make the film.
We don't have to put it in, but it would be cool.
And always make sure that this is not a trick. You know, it's not, you know, how they make things happen in films. Now, it'll be for real. We're trying to convince the public that. Because if they can't do it or they won't be able to do it,
It's not necessary to convince the public. You just show them.
Yeah.
If they want to believe, they
Yeah,
believe.
exactly.
Right. It's like all these craft flying around. You got YouTube videos of craft everywhere. People don't want to believe in aliens. Don't believe it. Not to say that every video is real.
Yeah.
I'm sure that some of them are.
They're too clever not to be.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you know that the lad, what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. The one in They Live.
Roddy, Hot Rod.
Yeah.
Richard Carpenter.
Yeah.
Hot Rod.
So how did he get that? How did he get the film? How did he get in that film?
John Carpenter liked him. Just liked his as a wrestler. He liked his look, his feel. It's like, you're the guy.
Okay. I see. So was this an accident? I mean, was he wrestling at the time or something?
Yeah, he was wrestler. He was.
I see. I'm trying to work out what drew their attention to him.
Oh, yeah. He was a famous wrestler.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, not as famous. I mean, he was fighting with Hulk and Mr. T in that era. You know, Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
That was the heyday, the early
Hulk
days.
Hogan.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of his wrestling, Jesse like, but
Yeah. So
there was a wrestling, it was a boxing place up here where they did boxing in Newcastle, right? And I remember I was invited up there by some boxers, you know, and there was wrestling on at the time. And this guy, they were practicing this, you know, where they bounce off the rope. You know, you can't make people bounce off the rope. You can throw them, but they're not going to, you know, it was a setup.
yeah.
And I thought it was very good because the stunts were very good, you know, without actually really hurting ourselves.
Yeah.
They had this lovely springy floor, you know, to help them to be able to do it. And I was just down from here to there off this wrestler to the camera. He picked him up and he slammed him on his floor and he's, damn it, man, do you mind doing it? You know, you hurt us there. And they did it again, you see, so that the timing was perfect. But he had his face flattened to the ground. He went, oh, what's that smell? You see, and we were looking at him, and there was the canvas they have on the boxing ring, in the ring. He picked that up. Oh, what a terrible smell! So anyway, a couple of guys looked underneath the stage. There was a body chopped up underneath.
Jesus.
The caretaker had hacked his body, and it had been there for some time. That's in the papers, huh? You can still get that. Yeah. So this guy's, you know, yeah. It was there was
Who did he kill?
it was it's two gears apparently. One had hacked the other one, hacked each other to death, hacked this other guy to death. And they put him underneath the. I think they were going to move it. I don't think they were going to leave it there, but they never got the opportunity. There was always somebody there.
Right.
So I think it was on the spur of the moment. I think because he was the caretaker, he was cleaning up. You see.
Yeah, pretty dumb place to leave it. Right?
Yeah.
That's fun.
Down to me for the wrestler, practicing.